Welcome to the Head Trash Show. My name is Alexia Leachman and I'm the founder of Head Trash, home to the new and unique head trash clearance method that removes unwanted negative thoughts, feelings and emotions quickly and effectively so that you can achieve clarity, confidence and contentment in your life. My goal with this podcast is to teach you how to create some headspace by helping you to unpick what's blocking you and sharing some tips and how-tos for clearing it. Tune in every week as I share simple strategies to help you to achieve confidence and clarity in your life and business. To find out how to clear your head trash quickly and effectively using our unique method, pop over to headtrash.com to get our free download and subscribe for our free head trash clearance updates. And now for the show. Hello and welcome back to the Head Trash Show. This is your host, Alexia Leachman. Now, today's show is all about stress. And I did a show about stress about a month or so ago, and it's been getting that many downloads that I'm thinking that stress is something that you really want to hear a little bit more about. So I thought I'd try and seek out an expert on stress. And that is exactly what I did. I found the number one stress expert in the US, Lauren E. Miller, and I got in touch with her and she was delighted to come on the show. So that is who I'm going to be talking to on today's show. And so today's show is going to go on for a little bit longer than usual because, well, to be honest, I don't want to be cutting conversations that are just so insightful short. Because when somebody is sharing and being so generous with their knowledge, I just want to let them go with it. And I think you'll find that today's show is packed full of really interesting stuff to make you think differently about stress. Now, as I've mentioned, Lauren is in the US, so we did this whole show on Skype, and we did have a few technical hitches. However, I don't think it got in the way of the show. So there are a few little cutouts, but I don't think it ruins it. I've left it as is because I think it's far more important to get the essence of what Lauren is trying to say. And certainly her energy. She's got such fantastic energy. So I'm absolutely thrilled to have her on the show. Now, also, just before getting her on the show, I did put a little bit of a mention on my Facebook page to invite any questions from anybody that had anything they wanted to ask or me to put questions to her about stress. And one of the questions came in right at the very end of my conversation with her. But I managed to get her back on the call really quickly and put that question to her. So Jackie, your question is being put to Lauren right at the very, very end of this interview. So don't go away because I did get a brilliant answer for you to your question. And I think it's a question that a lot of you would probably want to hear the answer to too. So without further ado, let me play the time that I spoke to Lauren E. Miller all about stress. Hello and welcome back to the Head Trash Show. This is your host, Alexia Leachman. Now today I'm absolutely thrilled to have on the show a US stress relief expert, Lauren E. Miller. And she has several books out on the subject and she's also the founder of Stress Solutions University. Welcome to the show, Lauren.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. I can't wait for us to really pull apart stress because stress is something that really affects, well, everybody, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. If you're a human being, you're going to experience stress flare-ups. It's just a matter of the right trigger.
Now, just before we dive into the whole unpicking stress, I just think it'd be really useful for anyone listening to be able to hear a little bit of your story, because I just think it's so, it just helps to really position whatever you might say just comes with so much credibility when people know where you've come from, what your journey is. So would you mind just sharing a little bit of your journey?
Sure, absolutely. And I agree with you because authenticity is key in terms of being an expansive teacher in the world. And I've been doing what I've done. In fact, my mom wrote in my baby book when I was 5 that I just had this incredible, insatiable desire to understand why people did what they did. So that just led to studying basic cognitive psychology in undergrad. And I did postgrad in education, continued with stress relief, anxiety management, and energy psychologies, which we'd talked about. So starting my business, I'm also a second-degree black belt in Taekwondo, so the whole mind, body, soul, and emotions has always intrigued me and caught my attention. And so I've been doing what I do for about, well, actually my entire life, but my business has been about 18 years, and I had my greatest training in 2006 when I was diagnosed with advanced cancer 1 week prior to my final divorce court date. So here I was, the stress expert, talking about how 80% of disease is stress related, and I was dying, literally. I had it had spread through the left side of my body, through my lymph system, and at 38 years old with 3 children, 8, 10, and 12 at the time, things were not looking too good. So this was my training. I truly looked at it as getting my PhD in vulnerability and suffering, which I knew would be able to link me to the hearts of humanity in an expansive way, which it has, because to be able to teach stress relief is one thing, and anxiety management and personal excellence. It's another thing when you say, this is where I've been. And then people can relate and say, oh, so you're not just all head knowledge, you've actually had the training, the boot camp. Yeah. And so in the 2 years, I had 5 years of treatment, but in less than 2 years, I went through the divorce, the double mastectomy, 16 chemos. They had to do an additional year of chemo, 6 weeks of daily radiation, a MRSA staph infection, and after the double mastectomy, I developed the radiation and chemo combination. There's a small percentage, and I picked the short stick. Oh, no. Got the 3rd-degree burns from the top of my collarbone down on my left side, and had an open wound for like a year. God. It's amazing because you're talking to people and you have this huge wound underneath your clothes, and you're like, oh man, if you only knew. But it's the silent suffering that builds the character. Truly builds the character, as well as gives you great material to practice. So what techniques work in emotional stress, physical stress, spiritual darkness, and what really works. So it was great training. Great training.
Amazing. Come through it, and you look so fabulous. That's the thing.
I know, I'm not bald anymore. The hair came back. That's always a good thing. Yeah, restoration is a sweet moment. So yeah, I remember standing in the shower one time. I was just after the mastectomy, and no one can explain to you what it's like. It's it's an amputation. There's a part of your body that literally it's an amputation. I remember having like the phantom breaths. Like I just in the middle of the night, I felt like I still had everything, and would go and realize I didn't. And I remember looking at myself in the shower, and after the mastectomy, they have to, obviously put the tubes in the side to drain the space that was removed. And, I was bald at the time too, and I couldn't tell if I was male or female. And I just remember saying, wow, this is amazing training to let go of what you give permission to outside of you to define your capability, worth, and value, which is what stress is. People don't really understand that, when they say, oh, I'm not stressed. I'll speak to tons of different people all over the place. And many people will say, well, before hearing me speak, they'll say, oh, I don't deal with stress. And I'll say, well, do you ever ruminate? And they'll say, what do you mean ruminate? Do you ever hold on to a thought and a need to know how things are going to turn out, or a need to understand why things happen as they do, or ruminating over a comment that someone made about you? Do you ever do that? Oh yeah, all the time. Well, what is that doing to your system? It's constricting the blood vessels in the front part of your brain and actually makes you less intelligent, which equals stress. So, the stress has many different serpents, I'm telling you, how it shows up. And one of them is farming out your sense of capability and worth to circumstance. It's simply the power we give to outer circumstance to define our worth, capability, and value. And then that causes our belief in self, the ability, the God-given natural state of being, to be able to come up with creative solutions, even when you are bald and breastless, or even if you don't get that job promotion, or even if you're going through that divorce and you believe in marriage. Situations that you thought you'd never actually walk through. You are wired as a solution-based thinker, no matter what. And so anytime you feel that you're lacking in any way, and that's the threatening mode, whenever you feel a threat outside of you, just understand it starts in the head. It's a perception. Something happens outside of you. You define it. It's objective, and it's totally objective, like you're watching a movie, until you define it as a threat. As soon as you do, your hypothalamus kicks in and talks to the pituitary gland and hooks up to the adrenal system and releases the cortisol, which allows you to have the reflex behavior of running or fighting. And as an advanced cancer conqueror, I fought there, but also in the ring as I did the Colorado State Championship in Taekwondo, and definitely you have that ability, reflex ability, to do that. But how do you maintain, the sense of inner calm and confidence? You need your whole brain, I'll tell you that much. And the head trash is what shuts down or causes the restriction in the body. It's our God-given natural gift to be able to flee from threats. The problem is it's not lions and tigers and bears, it's fears, doubts, and worries. And it's all in the head. Hello. And we're the gatekeeper. We're the zookeeper.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
Now you talked about, one of the questions you said earlier is, you say to people, hey, do you ruminate? So that sounds to me like that's a real great telltale sign that you're experiencing stress, where people might not think that they are stressed. So what other maybe less obvious telltale signs are there that we might be experiencing stress that you can highlight for us?
Sure. Well, ruminating is a huge thing. And I was speaking actually to the Cattle Women's Association, and they had their 50th anniversary, and I didn't even know this, but they informed me, which I was grateful for, what ruminating really is. Ruminating is what cows do. Ruminate is cows swallow their food, they chew it, they swallow it, and then they regurgitate it, chew on it again, swallow it, regurgitate it. That's why when you see cows hanging out in the field and they're ruminating. Well, we're cows sometimes.
I love that image.
Ruminating. I call myself out. I'm like, don't be a cow today, Lauren. Let that go. It's like we're chewing on past food, the food of life, perceptions, the food of people's responses. Anytime that somebody says something and we feel it in our body. Now, if we slow life down a little bit, and we were to truly be authentically honest with ourselves as we're observing life, you when you have that responsive charge, when you've got the stress charge. It's literally like a small electrical charge in your body. And so whether you call it stress, whether you call it anxiety, or whether you use phrases like, I just can't let this go. I why can't I release it? Why can't I forgive them? Why can't I? This is a telltale sign that we have farmed out power to someone's responses, to a circumstance, and it's basically working with thousands of people throughout the years, including myself, first and foremost. It's comes down to two main things, two main experiences in life that seem to be the main archway through which the serpents of fear, doubt, and worry slither in. And that is the disease to please and attachment. The disease to please and attachment, overcare behavior, feeling like you need to save other human beings. I see this more with women than men, but men have their own list of needing to be the savior, and rather than allowing people and giving them the appropriate words back to them to remind them that they have everything they need to come up with a creative solution. You can remember that they have that ability, but there's too much victimization and sense of entitlement that, again, the serpents of fear, doubt, and worry slither in and cause the cortisol levels to go up, the restriction in the brain, so you don't have access to the cognitive reasoning ability or solution-based thinking. And it's cyclical, but if you just simply melt it down or dismantle it, it's the disease to please and attachment. What is an attachment? An attachment is simply an emotional state of clinging and literally like white knuckling it. Because what the white coats told me, they're like, well, odds aren't looking very good. So I was white knuckling it, saying, no way, I am choosing life. I have 3 young children. They need me. And so I was causing so much anxiety in the beginning, and nothing thrives in a state of war. And we're the one that create the internal head war going on, resisting what is, rather than looking at it and saying, all right, and shifting my language or your language, whatever it is that your attachment is. I need this to happen. Why? So that I can live. I need this to happen to know that I'm okay. I need this to happen to feel successful. I need this to happen to feel as if I'm worthy or valued or that I'm successful. We all have our internal list. It's an emotional state of clinging due to the belief that without this certain outcome or situation or response, we can't be happy. That's not true. I can assure you. I'm in a position, bald and breastless, and just trembling. Literally able to access happiness in spite of nothing going right for me on the outside. So it's possible. I speak this from the bottom of my heart. So even in the midst of when I was bald and breastless and shaking in bed in a fetal position, I remember saying that I am capable of experiencing happiness and well-being, in spite of the fact that everything outside of me, externally, is not going the way I want it to. The more I release the white knuckling or the attachment of needing a certain outcome or response from the world around me, I was able to stay in a very expansive place. And I know you're familiar with this, studying neurolinguistic program, but our greatest place of empowerment is curiosity and fascination. We're curious and fascinated. We used to be this way in kindergarten. You know, I go up to you and say, hey, you want to be my friend? You're already playing with someone else. So you say no. Okay, what do I do? If you watch kindergartners, their behavior, they don't even ruminate at all. They turn to the next person. Do you want to be my friend? Sure, I'll be your friend. So they're friends for as long as it's working out. Then they move on. But there's the residue that is not present, that leads to the remembrance of our capability. You want to be Superman? You want to be Superwoman? Okay, let's do it. Act your way into feeling. But it all starts in the head, because the drug of approval happened the first time you did something or I did something, and it's a little dance, and this causes so much daily anxiety. We have no idea how much this is an energy leak throughout our day, is needing the approval of other people to remember our worth, value, and capability. And it started the first time we did a little dance, and the adults, the big adults around us said, oh my gosh, would you look at her doing that little dance? And then we something popped inside of us, and we said, ooh, I like that recognition. I like to be acknowledged. That feels so good. The problem becomes when we start doing a dance that is not our dance. It is somebody else's dance. And so the drug of approval dilutes our sense of authenticity. And that's where jealousy and comparisons come in. And that's another stressor. People are like, I'm never stressed. Are you ever jealous? Do you ever compare? Because can you imagine the headspace that's freed up if we had absolutely zero attention to comparing and being jealous? That's a huge one.
Massive.
Jealousy and comparison, and how to regain your headspace, because once you slice the head off the serpents of jealousy and comparison, which, by the way, anytime we compare ourselves to another human being, it's as if we're saying, you have something I need in order to love and accept myself. Like sort of an authenticity, rather than saying, I think what you have rocks.
Yeah.
I have rocks. Hey, let's do something together, or you keep on doing what you're doing and we're lighting up the world.
Yeah.
There's just and creativity exists in that place. That space that is void of jealousy and comparison. Oh my gosh, productivity soars when people drop comparisons and jealousies, and they lean back into their authenticity. This is what we did in kindergarten. This is what we did, 5 years and younger, because they haven't forgotten who they are. They haven't given the permission out to events and circumstances and responses to define their capability. They're like, I can do it.
Yeah. Now, the thing is, I'm hearing you say all this stuff, and I do believe that I'm currently mildly stressed at the moment, except now I've heard you tell me that all these other emotions are piling in and create my stress. And I'm thinking, my God, I'm really stressed. Suddenly there's all these other emotions going on that are actually creating stress in me as well, like this jealousy, this comparison, and lack of productivity and all that stuff. So actually what you're saying is, in the minute we start allowing these negative emotions into our life, all that stuff is contributing to our stress levels.
Absolutely it is. Because it's distraction. It's literally diluting our definitiveness of purpose. When you have definitiveness of purpose, there is no fear. And there's an example of this. A friend of mine, this is actually a true story. There was a burning building, and there was a child screaming in the building, and it happened in my old neighborhood. And people were standing around watching. And because the flames were coming out of this building. So, of course, there was fear, trepidation, all of that distraction. And he just ran right in. Didn't even think about it. Ran right in and ran out with the child. And when I talked to him about it, I said, did you have any fear, any trepidation about it? He goes, no. I had one purpose, get that child out. When you have distraction of fear, doubt, and worry, you are literally diluting your clarity of focus. And when you dilute your clarity of focus, the accuracy of response is fragmented. the clarity of focus is essential for that accuracy of response, which is definitiveness of purpose. And when you have that clear line without all of the distractions and serpents of comparison, jealousy, fear, doubt, worry, nothing, like running into that building to save that child. You had this when you were younger. I'm Superman. I'm Superwoman. I'm going to be Superwoman. And literally you watch them play and they believe that they're superheroes. We forgot this.
So in terms of, so you've mentioned loads of really sort of negative emotions there. And also that you mentioned attachment, being attached to certain outcomes and placing, out farming, only placing conditions on your own happiness. What other aspects to stress? If we were to kind of unpick stress and really pull it apart and find out what's going on beneath the surface, what else is there that's going on for us when we're getting stressed?
Well, in terms of like the function biologically, and of course I've done a lot of research that for my own healing and recovery from the advanced cancer, and I practice it every day, is there's three main contributing factors to a malfunction in the signal, because we all have amino acids within, and this is kind of really dismantling stress. We all have amino acids that make up proteins that give the expression of the gene in our bodies. And so basically there's three main areas that, and this is from the work of Dr. Bruce Lipton, who I think is brilliant with epigenetics. And it's quite a obviously when I was going through the cancer to shift my cellular response to life. And it's in trauma, toxins, and your mind trash. That's why I loved when you reached out to me and I saw head trash. I'm like, oh man, what do you want? This is one of the big archways that disease has its way in the body, is the head trash. Because respond to that, because it's sending a signal from your mind, sending a signal to your biology. Sometimes because the neural pathways have been greased so many times through repetition that we don't even realize until we get the physical response of insomnia, headaches, back pain, inability to focus, forgetfulness, all of the different ways. Sometimes people will just show up with, well, I'm not stressed, but I can't sleep.
Hello.
So that's what you have to throw out so many different ways. So people say, oh, well, maybe I need to change my label. Because in the simplest form, life happens. It is happening as we speak right now. Life will continue to happen. And we have the choice to be the observer of that which is happening outside of us, or the reactor. And how does that take place? It takes place with the label. Because happens, and you have the choice of label. Is this positive or negative? We're making thousands of associations every single day. And so to stay awake at the gate, which I'll often say, don't fall asleep at the gate, stay awake at the gate, because this is the place where the head trash starts. And so as you stay awake, you'll be able to observe life, and rather than saying, you take it personally, and take it as a hit to your capability, worth, and value, you're able to say, that's interesting. I wonder what pain that person's acting out right now. That's fascinating. Because understand this, that the choice of attitude fluctuates all day long. That's the other thing. That's another, you ask me in terms of how do you know when stress is hitting you? Bad attitude. If you've got a bad attitude and you're focusing on what's not working out for you, stress is having its way in your biology. Guaranteed. It's having in your biology. You are in a vision type mode. And so your attitude, you get to choose your attitude. It's either your closest friend or your worst enemy. Where does it start? Again, at the gate. Life happens. You have the opportunity to label it. Is it positive or negative? Well, how about we look at everything as we're in our earth school, and there's lessons every day. Because I'll have a prayer every day. Dear God, help me to pass the test. What am I to learn today? To remind me of what my soul already knows. And it's a constant. We're in session. This is school, and so rather than looking at it as like, I can't believe they did that to me, you can stay in victimization. And I'll often say sometimes to my clients, call me when you're done. When you're done, when you've had enough, and that sense of victimization or entitlement, which is another portal that people aren't even aware of, but just the expectation and assumption of how you think life should show up. That's another area that is a archway for stress. Anytime you walk out the door and you assume my car is going to start, I assume my car is going to start. I assume I'm going to have warm water when I turn the shower on. I assume I'm going to be able to go down and have some eggs that I bought at the store the other day. I mean, there's so much. I assume that my heart's going to be beating in the morning. When we make the choice as human beings to shift the assumptions and expectations, replace those with gratitude. Thank you. My car started today because I've practiced this, and I'm very passionate about this because when I had a lot of setbacks, I had a lot of calls from the white coats. Well, we got bad news. And I had a choice. Do I allow this to define my ability to choose health and wellness at the cellular level? Or do I flip it and I shift my language and use a little EFT, NLP, and other energy psychology modalities as I'm tapping on my system, saying, even though the white coats told me that this happened, and as a result, it's not good news, I choose to give my body permission to heal and restore anyway, and believe that this is my God-given natural state of being. I mean, heck, I scraped my knee when I was 5 years old and it healed in 3 days. So I'm wired to heal. So I'm focusing on that. So when you release the expectations and assumptions and the power we give to the words of people outside of us to define our capability, then stress will not strangle us and have its way in our biology. And our will be sweet. But attitude is huge. Your choice of attitude will define your life experience. The cool thing is you get to choose it. So if you're having a bad attitude and focusing on what's not working out for you, and you can say the but this, but that, because I'm telling you, that reticular activating system, which God gave us in our brain stem, will work in your favor or against you. Cool thing is, though, you're the driver. You're driving us. You drive the reticular activating system every single day by your choice of focus. If it is working out for you, then you will tune into those things that back it up. It's like a little lawyer. If it's not, same thing. And people that are obviously listening to this podcast are seekers, askers, and knockers. So obviously, perhaps you've heard this before, and it's worth remembering every single day because we go into amnesia and we forget.
Well, yeah, definitely forget. I mean, I know I've had a moment this week where I've just been overwhelmed with the negativity of the emotion. And I might have somebody sort of shake me almost and go, will you stop taking it all so personally? Get out of the ego. They're not doing it to you. They're having a crap time. It's not about you. It's about them. Stop taking it personally. I was like, wow, that was thank you for that. I needed that because I was getting sucked in by it all. And it's so easy to get sucked in. And actually, it's a difficult trap when you're in it to get out of it. But sometimes all you need to do is just hear somebody just put it into those words and you go, oh, of course, it's so obvious now that you put it like that. And that's exactly what you're talking about, that kind of, get out of that assumption, get back into the present, be grateful for what you have and stop making it about you.
That's what I'll have a couple prayers and I'll say, dear God, grant me the grace not to care if I'm liked. In a positive way, not to be an angry person. I don't care if you like me, but in a very positive, expansive way. Give me the grace not to care if I'm liked. Help me to remember here to show up to love, and also give me the grace to see people for who they desire to be, rather than how they show up. Because anytime a human being is hungry, angry, lonely, tired, or sick, their ability to keep tap, and I speak about this from my personal experience as well, is compromised. Anytime was sick or my biology went downhill, I would notice my attitude would drop. So drag out into the light loses its grip on you. So you see what it is. Then you tap. And then, I from tapping sometimes through some tough chemos. But I'll tell you, it's truly just your choice. That's the gap of empowerment. That's people will often ask me, what do you do, Lauren? What exactly do you do? And truly it's just giving people the skills and techniques to drop in the gap between that which is happening outside and the response to it. So they have something to grab and apply on the spot so that they're not sucked into giving the power outside of them. So they can inside. So the immune system stays strong. And it does in positive growth mode, which is where Stay in your castle, pull up that drawbridge, and pray for the grace to see people for who they want to be versus how they're showing up, as you desire to be seen. That's how I want to be seen. I ask God every day, see me for who I desire to be rather than how my behavior reflects sometimes. Because when I'm unconscious, when I'm in the ego and needing to be seen, acknowledged, applaud, recognized, how come they got recognition? All that stuff that causes disease. Help me to know that I've already made it, so that I can release the rising and falling depending on how the world judges me at that time. Because return to my God-given natural state of being.
So I think we've done a really great job there, really unpicking it and trying to sort of get to grips with what stress is. But, let's get a bit of relief now. What are the best ways that you know from your experience that really helped you and the people that you work with, help them move on from this and really, you've talked about getting into the gap and stopping those emotions from taking over, making preventing you from showing up in the best possible way. What's the stuff that's been working really, really well for you and your clients?
Well, first and foremost, again, is drag everything out into the light, because true transformation begins with ruthless honesty and the ability to adjust. True transformation begins with ruthless honesty and the ability to adjust. So playing the game or lying for greatness or pretending to be someone you think you should be versus who you are, your soul already knows who you are. So this is all just to help you remember what your soul already knows again. And one of the techniques, of course, well, there's hundreds of techniques, as you know, but I'll just share a few of my own favorite that I use on a daily basis. And one of them is a neurolinguistic programming technique called the more technique. And perhaps you've heard about it, but basically it goes along the lines of the fact that we are making thousands of associations every day. So let's make them work for us. So whenever you feel less than, in any way, anytime you feel less than, in any way, whether that be incapable, fear, worried, ruminating, wondering why someone did what they did, and needing to know how things will turn out, just flip it into this template. The more anxious I am about needing to know why that person did or said what they did. And what I like to do is I like to add the thymus tab, because this is one of the major circuit breakers. And actually, this is so powerful that it's been proven again and again. When you're stressed, you carry most of your stress in your hip flexors. That's why when people are really stressed, one leg is longer than the other. Yeah. You'll feel a tightness. So to even things out, this is kind of the center point, that when you tap on your thymus, which is located at the base of your neck, there's a U-shaped dip 2 inches down. If you just take your fingers and just tap there, I do this all day long, and add the more technique. So you're combining a couple things. And you say, the more anxious I am about needing to know why that person did or said what they did, the more I'm able to remember that I'm enough just as I am. The more I'm able to remember that I'm capable of coming up with creative solutions in spite of what any human being says or does. That I'm capable of moving forward in a positive direction no matter what any human being says or does. And I take full responsibility for the power that I'm giving over the behavior of another human being. I'm willing to remember that I've released stuff like this before, and I've done it before, so that means I'm willing to consider I can do it again. So you're declaring what you're seeing, looking straight in the face of that which is causing you anxiety, calling it out, even though be ruthlessly honest. Nobody's watching. This is for your own healing. It doesn't matter. Some people watch me in the car doing this, and I'll get the side glances, but I'll just give them the peace sign and say, it's good stuff. Works. It's like a good restaurant. I'm coming back. So as you're tapping and you're saying this template, the more this is happening, the more I'm able to for this. And then create the positive association. And then you're talking to the 95% of your subconscious response to life. You're basically rewiring your response, and you're creating that new association. And then of course, creating positive anchors. Anytime in life when I'm feeling a sense of levity, and it usually occurs in nature. Why? Because there's no need to own and control and possess that which I experience in nature. I simply am experiencing it. And life is meant to be experienced, not defined. So time that I find myself, and this is why I'm from New York, my whole tribe's actually back there, but I'm hubbed here in Colorado because I like to fly fish, camp, hike, bike, because nature there's no time in nature. It simply reminds you that all is well now. When you jump out of now, all is not well, and you will find plenty of information to back that up. So I'll create an anchor. The one that I use is just the okay sign. So whenever I'm experiencing something beautiful, like I was camping in Steamboat this summer, and I experienced a double rainbow that was just spectacular. I mean, you could see every color. Wow. And I just stood there and just took some deep breaths. And I just made the okay sign, and I looked up to the left, because when you want to remember something that feels good, the way to access the part of the brain to help with the memory is just glance up. Glance. Scriptures even say that. Where does your help come from? Looking up from the heaven because it's wired to the parts of our brain that help us to remember those things. So I'll look up to the left and just say, I choose to remember this, and just think about how I feel, how the sounds are of the birds around me. I could still, even as we're speaking, I'm making the okay sign, and instantly, because I created a physical anchor to an emotional experience that I experienced through my senses, I can resurrect that in the midst of stress. So as many anchors as you're going on throughout your life experience, and look and linger in what lights you up, because every too often we have our bum up, head down, and we are plowing through life, needing to be seen, acknowledged, recognized, and we're missing life. And if I could share anything today after going through the experience of advanced cancer and having that urgency of life, not knowing how long I am here wearing this earth suit, I can invite you to linger. Because when you are told you might be out of here, you will not think about all of the accomplishments, books, and awards, and all of that. You think, how well did I love? How long did I linger in those things that light me up?
Yeah.
So start now. If my experience through advanced cancer can remind you of something your soul already knows that can bring more liberty in your life, then everything I went through is worth it.
Yeah.
Because then you can spread that.
Yeah. It's cherish those magic moments with the people that you love. And that's it, really, isn't it?
Pretty simple. It's pretty simple. And really another technique too is a lot of times we don't do what's referred to as St. Ignatius refers to it as examination of consciousness. And we're plowing, and I know this is true to be in America, and you can affirm either way if you notice it around your tribe as well, but there's such an unbridled ambition and vain conceits going on that are literally robbing people from vision, the ability to hear and respond to their authenticity and gifts and talents, and losing themselves. And disease is increasing. $3 billion a year is leaked out of the industry because of stress-related illnesses. What is going on here? People are disconnected from their sense of purpose. And so before going to bed, to take the last 10 minutes before you fall asleep, which is actually very powerful time in terms of rewiring or uploading positive programs, because it drops into your subconscious mind during the REM sleep and will reemerge the next day, different people, different situations, same theme. So be purposeful before you fall asleep and ask yourself, where would I have wanted to add more love and kindness in my day? If you just take 10 minutes before falling asleep and reflect on those areas you would have liked to add more love and kindness. When your ego had its way with you, you fell asleep at the gate, whatever, you begin again. With each new day, we have the opportunity to begin again. Be intentional about it, because whatever you're intentional about, you'll see more of. And then again, focus on how people blessed you. How are you blessed? I did this throughout the several years of treatment. Wow, the nurses and how they showed up and the kindness. And this is how I was blessed. Rather than 14 times because I had damage to my veins, it only took 5 times today. I'm grateful for that. So focus on how you were blessed in your day and how you blessed others. And it's all in gratitude. You will find when you take time to do an examination of consciousness, you will see more of that which you focus on intentionally before you fall asleep. It's sacred ground. Last 10 minutes. You could start doing that tonight.
Yeah. Well, whenever I do my own clearance of head trash, when I tell people that listen to this show, hey, you need to be clearing your head trash daily, the best time of day is last thing at night. That's when I do all my head trash clearance, and it helps me fall asleep. So it works. And, when you're doing that kind of work on yourself, when you're really trying to deal with that stuff in your head and really improve and take yourself forward and take yourself nearer to being the best version of yourself, then I think that's a really nice way to close the day, because it sets a really powerful intention to your subconscious that you do have that intent of moving forward, of bringing yourself nearer to being the best version of yourself.
That's exactly it. That's it. And then beginning your day with just an intentional prayer for grace. Dear God, help me to release my need to be liked. Yeah. There is so much head trash that slithers into our minds simply because of our desire to be liked. We will prostitute ourselves out, literally, because of that one desire. We will compromise ourselves. We will withhold speaking our truth. We We will say things that are not aligned with integrity just to be seen or liked. This is a very slippery serpent that I encourage listeners out there to wake up to. How what you do is fueled by your desire to be liked and acknowledged, because you'll become very vulnerable to the rising and falling depending on how the world judges you, which again, the hypothalamus and the pituitary and adrenal system, your adrenal system, which infuses your body with the cortisol, which will give you the stress hormone, literally respond to that particular distraction. It's a serpent. It is literally, it's very crafty. So stay awake and see it for what it is. I see you. Throughout my day, I'll often say, oh, I'm wanting to be liked.
I tell you what, Facebook has got a lot to answer for. What were their damn likes?
How many? I gave that up. I gave them in terms of, rather than, and God really convicted my heart on this one, is Lauren, release your desire to be liked, because the productivity will soar. There's too much concern about, and that's what's so great about the metaphor of social media. How many likes do you have? How many people do you have following you?
It's toxic.
It's absolutely toxic. If I'm liked, I'm here to show to love. And Mother Teresa talked about this as well. I've read through her. I actually, after she passed away, I went to Italy and I went through because I just loved how she showed up in life. And I went to it was just on a little side street. They had a bunch of the people, the nuns that had worked with her had set up some of her journals and everything. And so I read through some of her journals, and it really all comes down to, in all situations, showing up with the definitiveness of purpose to really be a missionary of love. How can you expand? And I know that's a trite saying, but really look into it. How much of what you do is fueled simply because of your authentic state of being, which is to love and be loved. Really, everything that bumps you in your day, if you were to really melt it down, it comes down to a desire to be loved. And my friend, before she passed away, and in my first book, Hearing His Whisper, there's a picture of her and I together, and my hair started growing back. And this was a little while before she transitioned from this earth. And we were same age, both had young kids, and I was very angry because I had lost 6 of my friends during the 2 years of treatment of the very disease I was walking through. So I had to work through some serious head trash. And she said something very profound before she passed away. She said, Lauren, Jesus has been appearing to me the last couple nights. And she didn't want to have any drugs or anything. So she wasn't drugged up or anything before she transitioned. She said, he told me of something very, very important. And I just want to pass it on to you, because I think it'll help you in your life. She said, when people are unkind in any way, anytime they act out in any way in your presence, it's simply because they're forgetting how loved they are, how loved they are by God, how capable they are. Somewhere along the journey, they forgot who they are and how adored they are, and that they're special and unique and created to love. So I carry that with me, and people, just the other day in the airport, there was a human being that was forgetting their God-given natural state of being. I'll word it that way. A moment of amnesia. And I was watching them, and there was such anger coming through them. They were literally, it was like Animal Planet. But biologically speaking, if you can understand, show a little grace to people, because when they're in that explosive behavior of negativity, literally it's like temporary insanity, because blood vessels are constricting in the front part of the brain. They become primal. They're primal. It's like watching Animal Planet. And I remember what my dear friend Susan said, remember, they're forgetting. They're literally in a moment of amnesia. So anytime a human being remembers that they're safe and they're capable of handling any situation, they're not reactive. They're observing, and they're flexible. Really. And there's nothing quicker will get you in that zone than a white coat telling you, not sure how long you have.
Yeah.
Because then the non-essentials melt away, and everything that you value most comes to the front lines, as is our natural state, and life becomes filled with a lot of levity. And I pray that that doesn't have to happen to whoever's listening to this podcast. And that perhaps something that we've shared on this show will help remind you of what your soul already knows, so that you can have that sigh of relief and say, wow, you mean I don't have to keep playing this masquerade game? But
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for sharing what you shared with us today, Lauren. It's been absolutely wonderful. And I'm sure, certainly, I'm going to want to listen to this again just so that I can sort of, listen again to what you've said and really take it in and start integrating that a lot more into certainly what I'm doing and how I'm thinking. So I'm sure that anyone else listening is probably going to want to do the same thing as well. So thank you so much for sharing all that today. Really appreciate it. Now, where can people find out more about you online?
yeah. My main website is laurenemiller.com, LAURENE Miller.com. That's my main website. And then my university, my online university, there's a lot of free stuff on there. And there's a free gift on there as well, is stresssolutionsuniversity.com. And it's all spelled out, nothing funky, just stress solutions with an S, university.com. And you can check that out and explore what you need.
And there was a free gift, I think. Did you just say that? A little freebie waiting for people there?
Free stuff. People love that.
People love free. Excellent, excellent. Love it, love it. Thank you so much, Lauren. It's been absolutely brilliant having you on the show. And I just want to say a big, big thank you. So maybe we'll speak again soon.
Absolutely, we will. We will.
Well, as you guessed, yes, we did speak very, very soon because then my Facebook question came in from Jackie. So I got Lauren back on the call, and here is when I put her the question from Jackie Mason. Thank you for your question, Jackie. And here is the answer from Lauren. Everyone always asks how they can get rid of their own stress, but what tips do you have for us not causing stress to anybody else?
That is a profound question, and it begins within yourself. So how do you not cause stress to other people? You create a stress-free environment within yourself. And this is the key piece here. Remember that people's choice of response to anything you do or say has everything to do with their Earth school experience. So this and the tendency that happens in a case like this, I don't want to cause other people stress. Well, let me just invite you to think about this, that by overcare behavior in any situation or feeling responsible to save people, and I'm speaking directly from Sister Rosalie, who's a nun who worked with Mother Teresa in Calcutta, because I work with a lot of people who have some serious issues that they're working through and releasing, and so I'll go and get some wisdom, grounded wisdom from a 4-foot Indian woman. And so she said, you have to remember that your responsibility is not to save people from their life experience, because then you rob them of their ability to learn and to grow. So your main focus is maintaining that sense of internal peace for yourself, releasing your own head trash. If by chance, which this seems to happen, you should trigger some kind of stress in other people, that's their lesson. Don't rob them. You maintain that sense of love, peace, gratitude, releasing entitlement, victimization, all those things that cause stress in your own life. And what'll happen, and this is true in energy psychology, is it's called the eliciting the state of behavior you desire to experience. Don't allow their situation, or dumpers or dumpies, which actually studies have shown that complainers shrink the brain. So when you don't play that game and you maintain that sense of positivity, not allowing the behavior of other people or the response to you to rob your sense of inner peace, you actually keep your wavelengths going on a higher frequency, sort of. So you actually are capable of by staying in that heart space, you're capable of literally changing their brain waves.
Yeah.
So maintain that height of inner integrity and lack of reactive behavior to whatever they're doing, or lack of sense of overcare behavior, that you're responsible for saving them. No. Remind them that they have everything they need to tune into the available resources to come up with their solution.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you for that. I'm sure that answers it beautifully for the person that's just put me that question.
Wonderful.
So there you have it. I hope that you learned a lot about stress listening to what Lauren had to say, and certainly I know I picked up a ton of stuff. Now, if there are any other subjects or topics or pieces of head trash that you want me to help you to unpick or seek out an expert of that we can unpick for you, then please do let me know. Come and let me know on the Facebook page, at the Head Trash Facebook page, or just email me through the Head Trash site at hello@headtrash.co.uk, and I'll do my very best to find somebody to help me to unpick that for you. And also, when I do get some more experts on the show, I will let you know on the Facebook page as well, so that if you have any questions that you would like to put to the expert, like I've done today with Lauren and Jackie's question, then I'm happy to do that. So please do come and find us on Facebook and get involved in the conversation. So I hope you found today's show useful, and I look forward to joining you again very, very soon here on the Head Trash Show. Bye for now. You've just been listening to Alexia Leachman here on the Head Trash Show. If you enjoyed the show, I'd really appreciate you leaving a review here on iTunes. And don't forget to pop over to headtrash.com to get your copy of our free 5 Steps to Clearing Head Trash guide. Now stay tuned for upcoming episodes and more tips and how-tos for clearing your head trash and reclaiming your headspace. Until next time, bye for now.